Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to update with a triple whammy of industries screwed over by Brexit as described by industry leaders in the last week. Chemicals, medicines and car manufacturing. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, I talked a little while ago about Boris Johnson government's plans to pull out of the EU's chemical database and create our own version for the chemicals industry. Really briefly before I go on to the main issue here, and that would mean that companies having to re-register all of their chemicals on a completely new database at a cost to the industry of £1 billion. Just to put it into scale, £1 billion. And there are no benefits to this new system. According to the industry, none at all, and so it would just be an extra cost. Yet again, for the sake of a Brexit mentality. And it isn't even a necessary consequence of Brexit. I'm going to go on to this video about a necessary consequence of Brexit. This isn't one of them. It is only a consequence of Boris Johnson's version of Brexit. And it isn't just an additional huge cost for no benefit. It brings with it a massive downside as well, in that it will make British producers less competitive. Now, the consequences of this, according to Neil Hollis, who is a regulatory affairs manager for BASF, which supplies chemicals to industries, are that some chemicals will just disappear off the UK market completely. It won't be worth having them there. And he was one of the industry experts giving evidence to Parliament this week. And the consequences of this lack of chemicals available on the UK market doesn't just mean those producers making less money potentially, having to shrink their operations. He said it would lead to much less investment and innovation in general because, this stands to reason. If you were planning on building, or investing in the country and building a plant or something like that, where you require certain resources. Now, if you can't access those basic resources in the local market, in the UK market, for whether it's for business or research, then why would you? You'll build it somewhere else where those resources are available. And for those who try to procure supplies from the EU market, because you just say, well, we're getting them on the EU market, if we're going to get a trade deal, and there's more positive talk about that, well, we'll just get them from the EU like we would now. You've got imports to worry about, because even with a free trade agreement, the holy grail, the best we can hope for, which is, as I say, I don't know whether that's even looking certain or uncertain. There's more optimism about it. But even then, there would still be difficulties in getting those raw materials into the country in a timely manner, given that we are not prepared to manage our new customs borders. Buyers of these chemicals will face a great deal of uncertainty over when, or even, because at the moment, whether they would be able to obtain those supplies. And as even the government accept, businesses cannot thrive on uncertainty. And there were a number of experts giving evidence, and one telling part of the exchanges was when the chair of the committee, Labour MP Hilary Benn, asked them to name a benefit of Brexit that they were looking forward to, because all they were getting was a catalogue of disaster. Okay, well, give me something, some silver lining to Brexit that will actually help. And that's nice. That is nice, because Ben is, of course, very much opposed to Brexit, for those who don't know. Very decent of him to specifically ask the industry experts to throw a bone to the Brexit supporters. Because I get this sometimes as well. Oh, Phil, you keep going about the downsides. What about the upsides? Talk about the upsides. Well, so Hilary Benn asked them, so what's a benefit? Unfortunately, they couldn't name a single one. All of these experts assembled said there isn't any. There are no upsides whatsoever. Not one benefit to Brexit at all for the chemical and pharmaceutical industries in the UK. Because it's not just about the supply of industrial chemicals, supplies of medicines are threatened as well, for different reasons. Industry experts have warned about weeks of delay in getting vital medicines unless bureaucracy was addressed. And without an agreement between the UK and the EU to respect each other's testing and inspections, because this has got nothing to do with the trade deal, I'll have to point out, then there will be delays of up to 6 weeks, as duplication of those tests has to be carried out on the other side of that customs border. And like I said, this has got nothing to do with trade friction as such. This isn't delays at the border causing problems. That's a whole different problem, which can add delays of its own. This is purely in terms of being able to dispense pharmaceuticals until they've been cleared. So the industry experts said that this would affect Northern Ireland particularly badly, just for a change, as they don't have the testing facilities set up. So what I take from that is what this would mean is, okay, so you need certain medicines in Northern Ireland. They have to be imported from the EU. Again, makes no difference that Northern Ireland is going to be on the same customs arrangements with the EU, because it's got nothing to do with customs, it's to do with testing. And the Northern Ireland will still be part of the UK and has to undergo the UK testings regulations. So they will have to pass from the EU to some part of Great Britain where there are testing facilities. The testing take place. Then they'd have to be exported to Northern Ireland, and that's where you may get your trade friction causing trouble as well. You know, causing even greater delays and, I guess, cost as well. 6 weeks worth of delays to do this, potentially. 6 weeks. And as I say, that's got nothing to do with the extra transport time. Then, just to throw another industry under the bus, it was revealed in this last week that the UK car manufacturing industry would be completely buggered even if we agreed a free trade agreement with the EU. The particular difficulty being car parts. Because the idea would be, you might think to yourself, okay, so we produce cars in here and we want to be able to sell them on the EU market. If we agree a free trade agreement, we should be able to do that, shouldn't we? Because there'll be no tariffs on UK cars. No, there won't be any tariffs on British cars. That is true. That is true. But here's the problem. Part of our competitiveness, would rely on car parts being made outside of the EU being classed as British. And when I say outside of the EU, I mean also outside of the UK. So, for example, our car manufacturing industry is famously reasonably reliant for a fair chunk of it on Japanese manufacturers. Japan have a free trade agreement with the EU, so manufacturing parts in Japan to be shipped to the UK for assembly into a car, to be then sold in the EU, it's never been easier. It's never been easier. But if Japanese car parts are sent to the UK, where we plan to turn them into a car, and then sell them in the EU, that will not avoid those hefty tariffs, even if we get a tariff-free deal with the EU, because it won't be classed as a British car. It has to contain a certain proportion of, even the parts have to be made in Britain or the EU. That'll work too, I would imagine. Why would it not? But they have to be manufactured here. I don't know what the percentage is. I don't think it's been announced what the percentage is, but it's going to be, you would think, at least half. It has to be at least half. And that's not the case for a lot of the cars that are sort of assembled here. A lot of those parts are manufactured in Japan and some other countries as well outside of the EU. So they won't count as British. The finished car, it might have been assembled here, but it will not count as British because most of it will not have been manufactured in Britain. And you know, the EU will therefore have to apply tariffs onto it. Essentially, our government wanted parts made outside Britain to be classed as British. The EU, unsurprisingly, smiled, then realised that we were serious and said, no. If you want it to class as British, then that means you have to make it in Britain. So that's that buggered. And the government knew this, of course. You know, after all, Sir Patrick Minford, who is the Conservatives' main economic advisor, going way back to Thatcher, told senior Conservatives a few years ago, said, don't even bother trying to save car manufacturing. He was recorded as saying this in the Commons to senior Conservatives. Don't even bother trying to save the industry. Brexit will screw it completely, he said. And that was before we were looking at anything like the hardest of Brexits that we are now contemplating. For all the optimism, that is still what we're looking at if we don't come to agreement. There is simply no version of Brexit that allows car manufacturing to survive in its current form in the UK. I noted a quote from the chief executive of the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, who wanted the government to prioritise his industry in talks. Of course, he would call for that. Every leader of every industry will want the government to prioritise their sector. That's him just doing his job, representing his industry. But he will surely know it's futile. Because I've seen experts in economics and international trade discussing various realistic solutions to protect different sectors of our manufacturing industries in the UK from Brexit. You know, there have been suggestions for agreements that would smooth things over and not cause fatal disadvantages to various sectors in the economy. But I have never once seen a proposal for car manufacturing. Everyone has agreed that it cannot be protected from Brexit. The closest possible relationship with the EU could not do this, and we are not, even with a free trade agreement, trying to negotiate anything like the closest possible relationship. Quite the reverse at the moment. So there we are, ruinous delays for medicines, punishing uncompetitiveness for chemicals and cars, and let's not forget what uncompetitiveness means. It means job losses, a subsequent loss of tax receipts, and less money to support the poor sods who now have no job, and it's not exactly like there are new jobs to apply for elsewhere. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.